something really simple, spinning tops. When I started turning, I can explain to you, I started out in the UP, lots of time, no money. I started out with Benjamin Best tools. I did. I still have them. I don't know why. They're in a box and stuff I don't use. But you didn't have a whole lot of money. You had young kids, so spinning tops were a natural draw. Had a friend of mine who's a turner from South Texas came up, and I was looking to turn to be able to sell some stuff, make a little bit of money. He says, look, the smallest stuff makes you the most money, unless you get as good as me. And I think he's right. I mean, I can spend, when I'm cranking, I could turn a spinning top. I could turn spinning tops and make $20 an hour. When I'm really cranking and going, when I'm in a rhythm, I probably turn 2,000 spinning tops, and I've probably given 1,000 away. I had access to hard maple. The UP grows the best hard maple in the country, and these are all cut-offs from the kiln. So the guys used to throw them out, and scrap them. They used to let us go pick through them, and I started with 8-quarter because that's what they had. They cut them off in blocks. They have to test them after they're running through the kiln. New company took it over, and they decided that they were going to create their own burning facility to help power things. So they wouldn't let us do that anymore. So I'm thinking, shit, how am I going to get my wood? So, but they still were cutting the stuff off. So for Easter, I went and bought a glass vase, and I found out how many employees they had. They had 20 employees. So I went in with a glass vase that had 50 spinning tops the week before Easter. Just put them on the counter for the secretary and asked if I could talk to the manager. I said, this is what I do, this is what I do for fun. I said, these are for your staff. I would appreciate it if you saved me those blocks. I went back 2 years later and he still saved me the blocks after I moved here. So, that was how I got into it. It was fun. My kids would go to the craft shows, and I'd have bowls for, upwards to a couple $100, and I'd sell these usually for, I don't know, $3 a piece, 2 for $5. And, if things were slow at the gallery, I would just give the kids the spinning tops, and they'd start playing around. Well, next thing you know, every kid that walks through there is coming by to play with the spinning top. Well, then Mom and Dad are coming by. Well, Mom, can we get a spinning top? Can we get this? Next thing you know, they're buying a bowl for Grandpa, because Grandpa likes wood. So that's sort of how I got into it. Pretty simple, 5-inch, 8-quarter, which is 2x2. Exit out, find the center. Doesn't take much, rough it out. That's just a punch. Spindle turning between centers. You can make a top out of probably anything, but I'm assuming it primarily has to be between centers. And I do just a basic style that's, I'm sure she didn't invent it, but it's probably been around a lot longer than she was, but it's really promoted a lot by Bonnie Klein. So I do and do not.
The handle goes down
Handle goes.
to lock the.
This one?
No, the other one.
The big
That one goes down to lock it.
All right. I wouldn't worry too much about locking it until I get it lined up and set. But
If anybody, wants safety glasses, we have them.
Just clear a lane.
and other than at Dick's place, I've never used a lathe this good.
Your head start.
So, all right, I thought that was the detent lock. Okay, all right, come on over, Bob.
You got it. You're doing good.
No,
I'm gonna give you the finger if you don't get over here and help me out. Thank you. All right, let's try this again here. See if I can find my center. So this is something else. I'm an old guy. I wear contacts. Those of you that don't like reading glasses, these are bifocal reading glasses. Buy those.
Yeah. Wonderful.
They are wonderful. We're just not quite positioned where I like to have them positioned.
Yeah.
I gotta
Search a little bit.
work on that a little bit. But
Especially when you go up or downstairs.
I don't wear my
Take
safety,
'em off
I don't need
before
my
you
safety
go up.
glasses going downstairs.
Where's that stuff?
Oh, yeah, I can tell I didn't put that on straight, but I'll live with it, I'll smooth it out. And then we'll back it off a little bit. It's not completely straight, but we'll make it completely round anyway. So rough it out with a bowl gouge, or excuse me, a spindle gouge,
Still nothing goes.
spindle roughing gouge. Gotta make this quick. You guys it's always interesting when you do a demo, you just assume people know stuff and you don't assume people know stuff.
Yeah, it just turned.
Yeah. Turn that goes up.
Just the way it is.
Okay. That's what you think it's round, it's not. It's working. What's that? I definitely didn't center that up very well. There we go. While you turn mine and Chuck, so next thing is just create an edge on it. This is something, I can't even remember how I used to do this, but Dick's the one that convinced me to buy a 1/4-inch parting tool to make this go a little faster, this portion. This is a tool that, you know, I find works better if you start it at the top and bring it down. Sometimes I bring the tool rest up a little bit. Try to go about this 1/4-inch tool, try to go about a 1/4 inch. I don't go any deeper than you really need to. All you need is a little bit of a shoulder to work from. Hopefully that's not more than 1.5 inches, or less than 1.5 inches if it is, then, well, you know what, just in case I'm gonna do the other side. Bite in. Parting on something like that to put in a chuck, the main, in my opinion, the main thing is to make sure that's flat right there. You've got to have something flat for it to seat up against. That was the easy part.
So you prefer maple just because you got it at the right price, or is it, would you use?
Well, I prefer the maple because that's what I learned on and I got it at the right price. But secondarily because I do chatter work on the end of mine, and the denser the wood, the nicer the chatter.
Okay.
So chatter work's only an end grain, and that's just the way it works. I mean, I've chattered other things, walnut, other denser woods, but the nicest thing that I've ever tried to put chatter on is the maple. So let's see, where's your knockout bar?
Right there. Here on the end.
Oh, there it is.
Turning vests are great, but they work a lot better if they're zipped all the way up. And put the chuck here. What's this lathe weigh?
900 pounds.
How do you lock this? So you,
What's up?
what's that?
Up. Just hold.
So Bob, tell about this, this chuck. I found this kind of intriguing. I've
Well,
never
it's
seen
a-
one of these.
Yeah, it's a quick release jaws so that you don't have to screw the jaws in and out, so it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Nova makes something similar.
Quick release jaws?
So they're spring loaded, so you just push a spring and that jaw comes out instead of having to take the screws
Oh.
when you
okay.
replace the jaws.
Easy one.
Yeah, he did that today. I said, hey, wait a minute, how'd you do that? It was a lot faster than anything else.
Have a couple of them. So you just,
Oh, wow, that's sweet.
so it's very easy to change the jaws out.
No trouble with that releasing with a lot of pressure on it.
No, and then to put them in.
What's the brand?
Easy wood.
Easy? Easy.
So my tool of choice, this could be done with a skew, and if somebody wants to do a skew demonstration, these are.
Unlock the, was that running?
No.
I thought
I did make, yeah, I made sure it was sold, it was seated and round while you guys were looking at him. You did hear that. So, anyway, I prefer a big gouge to work with, it's just comfortable. Some guys I know use smaller. This is a 1/2 inch, and then I'll do a little bit maybe in the end with a 3/8 inch. I use a high grind back. I use this for a lot of things. I don't have, I have a lot of independent tools, so I use this for bowl gowns, but I use it for this too. The only thing here is you got to make sure not to ask the tool to do more than the chuck can handle, because if you try to take as much as this thing will, you'll end up with it over there on the floor. And I guarantee it doesn't ever go back in and set up around like it did when it came out. So you just pair it off, work it down. One thing with spinning tops, you don't want a super sharp edge. If you get a super sharp edge, I usually come back and knock that off with sandpaper. Again, take it away, wasting wood. I remember the first video I bought was by a guy named Dale Stubbs. Remember Dale? I don't see him around the circuit much anymore, but it was an old VCR. One of the things he emphasized on that video was to learn to turn both right and left hand, and to use both sides of the tool. So I cut each way, because his attitude was you paid for both sides, you might as well use both sides.
Sharpen it half as often.
Yeah. So you just gotta work that in. I tend to turn mine down to a final of about, my handles are about an 1/8 or 1/4 inch thick, so I tend to try to leave it here at about a 1/2. You get too thin, you'll get some wobble, you'll start having some issues. And you'll start creating some chatter, which is what you want, but did it. Hear that noise? That's the start of vibration, the tool vibrating or the wood vibrating, one or the other. That's pretty much it. Now I'm down to where I want to be. This one's a little off on the edge, so I'm just going to clean that edge off a little bit. Just a little scraping action, clean that edge off, feels smooth to me. Pens, you can go with the high-end pens. You know, these they've got a brush tip and they're pretty high-end. Or you can go with Sharpies or Bics or whatever. And I've got kids, they gotta find something to give me for Father's Day and Easter and my stocking and all this stuff. So I've got the pastel colors for Easter, and I've got the bright neon colors and Sharpies and whatever. One of my favorite things is when kids come over the house, you see how fast I can do this, and then let the kids color their own. They just really So get down here, pick a color scheme. Anybody got a kid with a birthday coming up? Grandkid with a birthday coming up? Anybody got a favorite color theme? So, let's see, we'll just do a good old American red and blue. You know, I do the chatter ones, and I like to joke and tell people, you know, and they say, oh, how'd you do that? And it took me half an hour with a porcupine quill. I mean, you know, in the UP, they do a lot of stuff with porcupine quills. Some of those guys would actually believe it. But anyway, there's lots of patterns. The books have got some. I've got some pictures of buying, you know, people get really elaborate. Wes and I were talking to people that, you know, they'll take 4 different kinds of wood, block it together, and put them in rosewood stains and everything else. But, you know, just for me, quick and dirty. Turn the lathe down. Bit of advice. Gonna be that low. Always bring your tip like this to it. If you do it like this, you wear it out, and especially if you've chattered it, you'll chew it up. So it doesn't take much to just do. Come up with whatever schemes you want, color-wise.
You didn't sand that at all before you colored it?
You come up, feel it, tell me if I need to sand it.
Oh, I'm just
You don't.
Okay.
That, I mean, it is, you know, come on up, feel it.
No, I trust you.
No, I mean, it's serious. I mean, if you got a sharp tool,
Do it. He's not gonna let me off, is he? Okay.
feel it.
It's smooth.
If you got a sharp tool, you know, it takes practice, but it's doable.
I don't do anything that I don't have to sand yet.
Well, yeah.
Remember those days? Remember those days? Vaguely.
Yeah, every once in a while I get reminded of those days, though.
They always remind me.
Oh, yes.
So do you color and then chatter it?
No, well, you can. So what I'm gonna do, this is just one without chatter, and then I'll do the second one. I get 2 off of a 5-inch block. So you can see they don't take very long, so I figured I could get away with 2 and not bore you guys too much. Then you can do, like I said, whatever combinations you happen to like. They're super easy, they're super quick. This is my Captain America theme. You laugh, but you know. That's the one I did for practice here. The one I did for practice, you know, just before I came here, I did, you know, neon green and orange, and that was my, I figured that was my highway safety spinning top. So there you have it, pretty much. Then I go back to my parting tool, bring this down. Let's see. Since I'm not in my own shop, I'm supposed to be doing this right. Do it right. Now sometimes I'll decide to waste that away with the take that out with the spindle gouge. And this really is just peeling the wood. When you do this.
So Tracy, is there a magic formula for the length versus the width or any
Of
of
the
that?
top.
Yeah.
No, you'll see Dick makes much smaller ones, flatter ones. This is just what I like to do. You know, I know guys, Dick is one that occasionally will make them out of, he'll make them out of a flat disc and insert a dowel through them. You see people make them that way. The book's got a lot of neat ones, you know, Bonnie Klein's version. Here's a fun one that I made when my daughter was in the UP. You can actually make them and put arms on them. It's a ballerina. Who's the guy that I saw that made at the Burley Club in the meeting one time?
Nick.
Yeah. I've always meant to get back with him, because he told me where he bought the metal parts, because I was always fabricating my own. Just wondering how I don't have them anymore. So, to answer part of your question about the length of the stem, I'm a pretty practical guy. The length of the stem is determined by the width of that sandpaper, because that's how I. This is my finishing gouge on the tip. You know?
Okay,
So,
you are human.
you know.
I'm familiar with that tool.
Yeah, you are. Usually when I'm in my shop, I wear my glasses, and I don't wear safety glasses. I gotta get my head at the right angle here. So. And I'm very thankful Dick taught me how to use this, convinced me to use this parting tool, because it works very, very well. I'm thinking that's not quite the right size yet, not a little bit wider. So sometimes I'll use that to part it off, or if I'm in a big hurry, I'll go right to this and I'll start my other one. You know, rather than make that last little lip cut, I'll just go right here and start my next one. Again, you know, I did these for production. I was mentioning to somebody that when I turned at the peak of what I was turning, this is when I was working. I do 10 of these a week, 5 bottle stoppers, and 1 bowl every week, and I did it for 50 out of 52 weeks. So I crank these out every night. Actually, take that back, it was 20 spinning tops, 5 bottle stoppers. So I would crank these. I mean, I just got to the point where it's just, and you know, one of these things, I always wonder what to do with these leftover hotel cards when I bring them home. You can make a nice gauge. Yep, that's 1/4 of an inch. So that's where I am on that. We'll turn everything way down. Lots of ways to finish it. I've seen people, you know, if I make really nice ones, I've seen people spray them. I know Dick likes to use carnauba. When I first turned, when I bought my Benjamin Best tools, I also bought some hot pen wax, and I've always tried to figure out what to do with it. So that's what I use here. So I just put a little bit on it.
I always return my hotel cards, by the way.
I do this.
It says right on there.
You're
it's wrong.
a good man.
Kelly, me too.
And this is something I do. I love these
You
things.
probably tear the label off your mattress too.
Not my mattress, but definitely the pillow. This is something I found great. These magnetic, you know, they're just, I tell people, that's a great Father's Day gift. They're like $8 and they work real well. And my favorite buffing rags are old socks. Everybody's probably got, if you got teenage kids, if you got kids at all, you've got a box sitting above your dryer somewhere with all kinds of mismatched socks in it. So just buff it a little bit, doesn't take much. I found if you hold it too long, you actually dull the color. So I don't hold it very long. Just get it in there, get that wax buffed on it a little bit, give it a little bit of a shine, a little bit of protection. And then I like to go to a smaller gouge just because, not much smaller, this is a 3/8. Turn down a little bit. Just that little bit. I quite often use a skew chisel for that as well. So you end up with a spinner. You know, they spin well. You know, most of us are familiar with spinning them this way. I teach kids to do it this way, little kids. That's why I like my stems a little longer, because it spins like that. I used to go to a lot of DU banquets, a lot of Pheasants Forever banquets, take the kids and the family. You know, it's the thing you do in a small rural town. So usually when the kids have to behave after dinner, what do? You break out a big bag of these, you know. And my wife's a big fan of Crown Royal. So I've got all these Crown Royal bags full of these things. And then when the kids aren't looking, and they get bored, you do this. And it will spin on its top. Maybe I do it on the floor to prove it to you. But anyway, they will spin on their top. And then you do that when they're not looking, and then it keeps them busy for another 15, 20 minutes to figure out how to do that. So, it's a lot of fun. They're just a lot of fun. So now I'm gonna do this one. We'll do it real quick. I won't keep you guys past your bedtime.
Too late.
So, yeah, this one's, pretty much there already. We've already got that. We're probably all it's gonna take is kind of a finishing cut to recreate that piece. Again, don't ask the tool to do more than the tool wants to do based on how sharp it is, what kind of wood you're turning. You don't have to have a big point. Go back and waste out as much of this as you can, quick as you can. What happens when you don't run, start with a bevel, you'll get a run back. Fortunately, I didn't run it back into the chuck. And I find I can get through about 4 of these before I have to go back to the grinder. I ask it to do any more than that, it usually tells me it doesn't like it, and I end up with a piece on the floor. And I learned the old adage, the haste makes waste. So that's the part, I did it pretty quick and easy. So this is the part that a lot of people struggle with. I don't know how many people told me, I can't figure out how to use a chatter tool. Took me 40 minutes. I was so pissed off after a half an hour that I walked away, came back a half an hour later and figured it out in 10 minutes. So that's my only advice to you. Look at a video, find somebody to show you how to do it, and then just try it. And when it doesn't work, just angle and tweak it just a little bit. Dick was showing us some tools that you don't have to buy, that you can make. My first chatter tool was a piece of spring steel and a pair of ice grip pliers. Okay, that's all it was. All you have to have, that's just a piece of spring steel that's going to vibrate, and that's all you have to do is somehow hold a piece of spring steel.
I used a whole piece of a bandsaw blade.
Yeah. Somebody had given me a piece of spring steel, a little piece of. But again, so with this, the way I learned, again, I'm going to draw this basically from 12 o'clock down to 7, which is really kind of awkward because with me, I like to tool up, but I draw down. It's kind of an odd movement, but that's what finally worked for me. I don't have to be quite that high. So
Do you cut uphill or downhill with a grain?
well, the grain's going this way. It's all sticking out at you there. So you're basically starting from here, coming the middle point, and you're
Let
cutting.
me rephrase it. Don't you want to go from the larger diameter to the smaller diameter in that case? Wouldn't you get a lot of feathering, a lot of tear out?
Well, you will get a little tear out in the end when you pull this through.
Okay.
So what you're getting, essentially what's happening with a chatter tool is that tool's vibrating, and it's pounding as it goes around, and faster. I don't know how faster. It's basically pulsating and hitting as it goes, so it's denting the wood. If you do pull all the way through, you will see, and I'll have to sand the edge because you'll get some tear out. But this is all straight ingrained, so it's not like.
So you're saying it doesn't really matter what the grain direction happens to be?
Well, it does. You have to have it. You have to have end grain to chatter. If I tried to take one of these blocks, if I took one of these blocks and cut it in side grain and tried to do a chatter, it wouldn't work.
Okay.
It's got to actually it's got to be pounding on that end grain, and that's essentially what you're looking at. It's gonna indent that, all those fibers. It's gonna take and punch them all back
Okay.
in a pattern. So the sound that nobody likes to hear when they're turning is the sound that you want to hear when you're using a check. Okay? The faster you go, the tighter the pattern. The slower you go, the more open the pattern. I tend to like a tighter pattern. I tend to use the tip. If you use the side, you just get a broader pattern. So I'm going to crank this thing up. First thing I do is make sure that if I'm going to pull that back, that this part doesn't hit, that I'm far enough back. I don't think you can be, you know, if you're back too far, I don't think it's a big deal because you want that kind of vibration. Normally you want your tool up close so you don't get a vibration. Here I don't care. So I start, I use the same type of grip as you normally use, keep it in your body, but this I clamp down hard. And I push it in until I hear the squeal. Now you hear that squeal change? That's telling me I'm going to have a variable pattern on that. Okay? Good. And I don't, the inside pattern looks pretty good, the outside pattern looks pretty crappy. But the only thing I could do to redo this would be to
Turn it off.
pull it off and go back. And generally, by the time you start getting down to half an inch or under here, you're not gonna. You will create a pattern when you try to clean it off. So usually it's one of those things that you just do it and live with what you came up with.
So, Tracy, it seemed like the further you got closer to the outside, the faster you went. Does that change that pitch as well? Okay.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, the outside of this wood is moving faster than the inside of the wood.
Right.
So,
And it's thinner.
again, let it get up to speed. Bring it in there, get that down. And that one I skipped it. So I probably have a bare spot. I could feel it. I could feel when I did that. I skipped it, but it's got some interesting pattern. So
It was all on purpose.
what's that?
It was all on purpose.
This is just artistic license.
Design change.
Sometimes I do it on purpose, but
George
basically
Extra
on
for
this one it was because I'm using a different lathe and just not. Sometimes I'll go and stop and leave a pattern or come and go. The one thing I learned to do on purpose is I used to take and pull that all the way out, and then I'd have all this tear out at the end, and I'd have to take the time to clean that up. So I've learned to stop just before that very edge. So again, Bob, what's your wife's favorite colors?
Blue.
Blue? Okay. How many shades of blue? I got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Light blue.
Sure.
Say baby blue, Bob.
Baby blue.
Baby blue.
Baby blue, Bob. Baby blue and pink. Is that what you needed?
Probably not.
Well, you can ask your son back there, maybe. So anyway, again, I turned it down. Sometimes what I will do, is just, if it's got it real rough, I'll just take this and go over it, just to take that edge off. Just so it doesn't tear out the marker. And again, I've seen people do very deliberate designs, and then I've got a friend of mine who just touches it like this, and they look way better than anyone. And you don't have to be the same on the top or bottom, whatever you feel like doing works. I do a lot of school color themes, football color themes, school color themes. I'm sure the last one I did before I came here was black and orange. So again, it's not the prettiest ones that I've ever done, but go back to my chisel and clean that off. My parting tool. Does anybody else in here make tops? No?
We have to for next meeting.
I was gonna say. Got my little test template. Make sure it's close, it's close. Take out my finishing gouge. This is, another thing you buy. I bought, this is, if everybody ever sees, you can buy the kind of the bulk stuff from Klingspor. A lot of times they used to give clubs discounts, I don't know if they do anymore. I bought this the first year I started turning. I still have a half a roll, one roll that big of it. Pretty reasonably priced. I'm a big fan of, even though I can't always afford it, I'm a big fan of cloth back paper. One thing with these types of wax is every once in a while you're going to have to go back to sandpaper and take your color off because you can transfer color from the wax to the top. Dick, you're supposed to tell me to shut the lid off before I do this.
Some people can't be trained.
Where's those AAW safety goggles?
So, how long did it take me to do those two while talking? Where's the one that hit the floor? So, and if you want to get creative, like I said, the book's got a bunch of different ideas for different cut from traditional dreidels to what they call tumble tops to different things that are in the book. Not sure where I put it. One of the things I tried, I've done a couple. You get a set or two away, but you can actually buy these little pen kits, and you can turn a top to be in the pen kit. So then you let the kids spin them on a piece of paper. I found that I liked it on a little wooden box, a little tray that holds 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and let the kids just spin them, and they got something decorative. You can buy those pens at Penn State Craft Supply. They've got little pen kits, and you've got to fit them a little different because the kits are. You got to make your sizes different because you got one size coming out this end and the other size coming in. But they're fun to make until your kid decides to spin them on and they fall on your carpet. You got purple stain on your not purple carpet. But yeah, and I tell folks when I used to sell them big time, I put them in a fish bowl because that fishbowl, and you see all that color through, and people just naturally drawn. So I have seen these sell in Traverse City, Michigan. I sold them to them for $5 a piece, and they marked them up to $8. And that was before I came home, so that was at least 10, 12 years ago. So, you know, people like them. They're lots of fun, lots of different colors. You know, football fan, there's a Saints one. There's my highway safety one. There's my ISU one. And you can mark it and then chatter it off. I've done it both ways. I just like to do it my way. You know, do the chatter first. But you can go slick and then chatter it off. I don't think it looks quite as well. But again, and so Dick likes to make his a little bit flat and thin. You know, sometimes he doesn't do anything at the bottom, and he doesn't do chatter. But they're just as much fun. You know. That's all I've got. Any questions? Okay. So for the demo, or for the challenge, you can do whatever you choose to do. But if you'd like a block of maple, there's enough here for everybody to take one. Be creative. I know some of you guys do some different stuff. I know we got guys that do segmented stuff. I know we got guys that do dyeing and fractals. And that concept of an inside out.
And they take that square
That kind of intrigued me. I wonder if I could
to round.
Give it a shot.
The time it takes.
Inside out,
Tracy.
Well,